Let me bump the thread. Sorry.
All right, give everybody a chance to get in here. But we are live at noon for a change. Justin, love the idea. I'm a fan
Yeah,
of
man.
it. I'm here with Justin Hokanson. I'm kind of hosting this, changing it around a little bit. Justin
go.
probably takes back over as the main host when we get into the season, covering actual football. Right now, we're in talking season. You got to love that.
Ugh.
Fun. I mean, there's good things and bad things about it. I some of it I get like, okay, we're getting a little too media buzzy here on this, and other things I'm like, okay, I'm into that. Let's talk about this. So I'm all about.
Oh, he froze. He froze.
Did I go out there, Justin?
There he is. You're back. You're back. You're back.
I'm back.
What's on your TV? What's your background?
Um,
What is that?
Looks like the Great Wall of China today.
No.
It's always something different. It's like a changing background. But anyway, we'll take questions from the comments if you have any there. Corner, maybe you put up a thread there, Justin.
Yeah, if somebody wants to pop a question in there, we'll try to pop over there. I'd rather people hop on and ask questions in YouTube so Zach can see it and pop it into the screen. But if there's an interesting one that we see on the thread, we'll try to answer it. Like if you see one, Zach, if we see one over there that's an interesting, we'll try to do it. But we'll try to get the ones from the chat. Yeah, the point of the show is just it's summer. It's a little slower. So let's pop on here Tuesdays and Thursdays and talk about whatever's going on. If there's anything newsy, we'll talk about it. We'll hit on it. And then we'll kind of just roll into, if there's not much going on, we'll talk about playoff expansion talk or, whatever's going on. We'll just chat. We'll take questions. We'll probably do, I would say, if somebody asks a recruiting question, you can, whether it's basketball, football, you can attack it. But we'll kind of leave probably a lot of the recruiting talk to y'all's show. I think we won't really. This won't be a recruiting show. If somebody asks something, and they want to pop it up and you want to answer it, go for it. But I wouldn't say we're necessarily going to spend a bunch of time on recruiting because y'all do multiple shows a week on that.
Well, I have good news for you, Justin. People aren't interested in recruiting right now. Not hardly at all, actually. I mean, we have Rice. Like we have a couple of guys on the board that are always there, Carter. But recruiting is at an all-time low as far as since I've been working in this job. Because everybody knows if they don't win, who cares? Which I don't believe that. Yeah. I think you still need a good base for whoever comes in after that. But that's the way it is, and it is what it is. I hope Auburn gets it turned around so it can be back because my thing is recruiting. I know I'm technically a writer now, but I kind of like this format better personally. I feel like I can get my opinion across, my point a little better sometimes than I can as a writer. Still learning in that area. But before we get to questions, Justin, I just want to ask you one thing. I wanted to see if you agree or disagree or think I need to be fired or whatever over my position unit ranking that I just put out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So let me find it. You want me to just run through where it is? You just tell me like agree, disagree.
Tell me your 10 to 1 or whatever it was, bottom to top. What was it?
So my number 10 last was tight end. Number 9, I had safety and nickel. I grouped those two together. Number 8, running back. Number 7, linebacker. 6, interior defensive line. That doesn't count your Keldrick Falk, Morris Williams. That's interior. 5, I had corner, which was met with controversy because at number 4, quarterback. I have that room higher. Number 3, offensive line. 2, defensive end and edge. And then 1, I had the wide receivers, which everybody kind of expected that. And my criteria, just so you know, was not just the outlook for this season. I'm looking at the room as a whole. How is it set up for the future? Do they have layered depth? Are they lacking it? That's kind of what I'm looking at. The position
you're sort of
group moving forward.
Yeah. You're kind of power ranking the positions the way you would power rank a program.
Right.
Like this year, but how are they set up for next year? That makes sense. I think your top three are fine. Receiver, O-line, and those ends. It's probably a good tier. Like I would say those three are probably tier one. I think, I think those three kind of you can figure out the order, but I think those three, you've got, NFL players at those positions, whether it's Connor Lew, potentially somebody like Chaplin, certainly Falk. And we'll see what we'll see what Crawford looks like this year. He's got the build and all that, and then the receivers. So, and then what was 4, 5, and 6? Quarterback, cornerback.
Quarterback at 4, 5 was corner, and then 6 was interior defensive line.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Quarterbacks. I saw a Pro Football Focus had Auburn's quarterback room the 8th best in the country. The part of that is potentially Auburn's third quarterback is a guy that started, at Stanford. Does that mean he can take Auburn to could Ashton Daniels lead Auburn to an SEC title? I wouldn't bet on it. But if he's your third, that's not. I mean, how many people? What's everybody's third quarterback look like? I'm not saying the guy's a superstar, but that's not bad if he's number 3. That's a lot of production, a lot of experience. So I get why the quarterback room as a whole is kind of looked on. Deuce Knight probably a little better than people thought. Coaches certainly think he's a little better than you thought. A lot of that's just Jackson Arnold, and you don't completely know on him. You just don't. He hasn't. He's shown flashes, but he hasn't been, whole season been what you thought he'd be out of high school yet. Could be, but yet. So but I'm fine with that. I don't know that I'd put that room ahead of corner because I do like Crawford, Kayin Lee, and Radon Strader. I think Strader's probably being overlooked. Like, how good could he be? And then you talk about, some of those nickel guys come back with Champ Anthony coming back like that room. Like, I think Kayin Lee, Crawford, and Strader, I think all could play in the NFL. I mean, am I wrong on that? I mean, I think, and then who knows? But that room to me could be, you could have 3 guys. If Strader's legit, you could have 3 corners that you feel like you could toss out against almost anybody and they'll compete. Any receiver in the league, you're like, those 3. I don't think any one of those dudes is getting torched. I think all 3 of those are holding their own in the league. So I might put them higher.
So that was exactly where anybody that read those had a hold up. Like, I don't know about corner higher than quarterback, and I can understand it because of what you just said. And man, I will say, I don't know if this is the place to say this. I'm gonna say it anyway since we're doing this.
It's definitely the place.
I heard some interesting things about Strader, as in maybe some agent issues, thinking about hitting the portal again. So that kind of gave me a little pause, and I didn't go into that. I wasn't sure what to do with that yet, but that was the buzz I heard during spring, but I think he had an okay spring. The weird thing was I didn't hear much about Strader until that, and I was like, oh, that kind of it kind of makes sense. But I think everything's fine there. I don't think it's a problem. It's just things that happen in today's college football world, right? This is the guy that had 40+ offers in the transfer portal when he hit and visited Auburn and picked Auburn off the bat. So probably those schools were like, man, you didn't even give us a chance. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Anyway, with that, knowing that and going through spring, didn't hear much about him. I had a little hesitancy there. The other thing is, how much are we putting on Kayin Lee with this? Because I love Kayin Lee. I think he's going to be a good player. I think he is a good player for Auburn. I think he's a pro guy. I think he's got that kind of ability. But he had some coverage issues, man.
Mm-hmm.
Those are points.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at it going to the top of the room is so strong, if you're basing that on Lee, I have a little pause there too. But I should have a lot of pause about the quarterback room, to be fair,
Yeah, I'm with you on Lee. By no means do I think he's locked down. I think he's a really good SEC corner. And I think Crawford could be right. What kind of steps could he take this year? Who knows how good he could be? He's a dog. So I think I like that room in totality. better than the quarterback room in totality. Like Deuce Knight, talented, but true freshman. Ashton, good, serviceable. I would maybe flip him, but I'm with you. Kane Lee is like, he's not first team All SEC. He's got to go prove that. He's a really good SEC corner.
If he cuts down on, just getting beat, I mean, I don't think he got beat 100 times or anything.
No,
but enough to where you go, okay. Anybody watching film is going, well, I think I might can pick on number 4 a little bit, right? You have to get out of that where George is watching film and going, now we can throw on that side. Now 23 on the other side, he's not giving up anything. So that's.
I guess I look at that. I guess I look at that room and go, I don't know. I don't see. Let's say if you got Crawford, Lee on the outside and Strader's in the nickel, even Champ. We'll see what he looks like coming back, but I don't see a guy that you're like, red flag liability, like wave the flag. I don't see that. They're not superstars, but I think they're all pretty good and can hold their own. And then you had interior defensive line was in that second 3.
Yeah, number 6.
And then what was 7, 8, 9 linebacker, safeties, and
7.
Well, I would have for sure. I think that's fair. That linebackers for sure. Look, that's thin, man. I mean, DeMarcus Riddick better be great. I don't see that room to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but that room to me is probably getting overlooked in terms of its in terms of question marks. Like when people think about how good Auburn could be, they're like, what's Jackson Arnold going to do? What's the receiver room going to be? How good could Keldrick Falk be? Linebacker room worries me, man. And that's too important of a position. Riddick better be fantastic. Because I don't know past him. I don't know what to count on. I don't know depth wise. If he were to get hurt, or I don't know if you've got, like really, really good depth there. That room just is very up in the air to me.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Wheatland's a decent addition just for veteran purposes. He's played a lot of football, so I kind of like that. It didn't change much for me. I don't think he's, the best thing you could do for the linebacker room is find a carbon copy of Dorian Mausi, and I'm wondering if Wheatland can reach that potential because Mausi was not bad. I mean, he's not
bad. Larry Nixon, not bad.
And see, I even think Mausi was a step up from Larry Nixon. I think he was a little bit better. That's where you're at right now until you actually get these young guys into it. Because there are some young, I mean, Bryce Diaz, I heard a ton about him.
Mm-hmm.
Heard a ton about Elijah Melendez, and he's going to play. But, it's going to take a year or two for them to be the guys. You needed a Wheatland to help you cross the bridge and gap it. And that was a nice pickup, but I just don't know how good he is overall. And then Robert Woodyard is the other one where I'm like, okay, he's just not been able to break in, and that bothers me that he's at the top of the room right now.
Yeah. You can't, about Melendez. And then safety, I mean, is it just a depth thing? Like we think Caleb Harris, hopefully he takes some next steps. He was really good last year. Is it just a depth thing there?
I'm having an issue with the other side of Caleb Harris. Who is the starter? I don't I've heard Sylvester Smith, but not sure about that. I don't think Tay Seymour is going to be that guy, even though he was brought in from the portal. I think he's behind others. And then Anquan Fagans, if he's the starter, then you have a different set of worries. He's a freshman, right? So that was my biggest concern with safety and why I had them low. Because I don't know. If Sylvester Smith is your starter, do you feel great?
I don't know. He's not bad, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's fair. It's similar to linebacker. I think linebacker, maybe you have another piece or two that you can. I think maybe at linebacker you have just maybe one or two more guys that you feel like are a little bit reliable, a little bit serviceable, more so than maybe a couple guys at safety. I think they're similar where you got DeMarcus Riddick or you got Caleb Harris, and then kind of what after that. They're similar. And maybe, I wish Auburn had I wish they had a little more size at safety. Caleb Harris is physical. Smith's small. I don't know. I mean, I would love to have a little bit of a
you have
bigger dude back there.
You have Eric Winters, who is on his way. I don't know how ready he'll be, but it definitely made some strides in the spring. We'll see. But that's the thing, I don't know. I was going to save this for my own show, but I don't care. I'll say it anyway. There was my dad coached with Spence McCracken, a guy that played for Auburn and coached, at Lee High School in Opelika and all these places. Legendary coach, you probably heard of him. Dad remembers him in passing saying, look, for every freshman, or in their case, sophomore, first-year player that we have starting, you can almost count a loss for that. That was something he would say, something he believed, because they're going to have a mistake that you can't help. When you look at it, and I remember him telling me that, and I go, okay, Caleb Harris, Jay Crawford, Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons, Towns Magoo.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's 5 losses if you count it that way.
Yeah, impact, yeah.
But all those guys have another year now. It's just things that give me a reason to believe the team could be better, right?
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I think your position, I mean, I think it's pretty close, especially if you sort of group it in tiers. I think it's pretty even. I think it's pretty fair. What's Smitty saying? I feel like we take a step back on defense this year and take a step forward on offense. Very possible. I've thought about that. It depends on defense. It depends on how big a jump does Caleb Harris make? How big a jump does DeMarcus Riddick make? How big a jump does the interior defensive line make? How much better is Malik Blockton? Is Jordan Crawford really as good as they're kind of saying he is? There's some things there that could make it where you don't take a step back, but it's very possible the defense, because of some depth, a little bit of depth, could take a slight step back. You love Durkin in charge, though. Durkin is a guy that you're like, you feel good about how he operates, how he runs practice. So I do feel good about, if you looked at Durkin like a head coach of the defense and you looked at it like that, I think he'll get the defense in a pretty good position. But it's possible. And yet the offense better take a step forward. Where the heck else are you going to go? My gosh.
They better put some more points on the board. Yardage wise, you like the step they took a year ago, but got to get in the end zone. That's the biggest step to take now. Obviously, it doesn't take Nostradamus to figure that out, right?
No. By the way, we'll for people watching, I'll update as we go. Texas A&M's beating Auburn 3-0 in the top of the 5th there in Hoover. And see, Auburn just hit a Texas A&M batter. So they're about to have a man on. There's a 3-run homer by the Aggies. So they're up 3-0. Of course, this is single elimination now. Now that with Texas and Oklahoma in the league, they start a day earlier, and it's just single throughout, which is how it should be. Double elimination in a conference tournament just got dumb. Like you got regionals next week. It was kind of like you didn't even want to go to Hoover and sit there and throw a bunch of pitchers. So probably good that it's single. But anyway, Auburn down 3-0. I'll toss in any updates as we go. Cam, sort of same thing. Confidence, offense or defense? Yeah, I mean, you would lean offense because you feel like you've got, you feel like all three of your top 3 receivers you feel like are NFL caliber. Certainly Cam and Singleton. And I don't see why Malcolm can't make the league. Connor Lewis, league. Who knows what Jackson Arnold can be? Chaplin, yes, you got to have more offense. The only thing that holds me back is surface level. I feel like the answer to that is offense, right? Like if you just didn't think about it, you're like offense. I have more confidence in the offense. I see more playmakers on the offense, but it is hard to forget what the last 2 years looked like from a preparation standpoint, from an operation standpoint, from a consistency standpoint, execution. And that's just not all talent. Some of that might be talent. But like the operation as a whole, and I've said it a million times over the last 2 years, that doesn't breed confidence. And
right.
So are there better players? Insert Arnold, maybe. Insert Singleton, insert Chaplin. Cool. Like, what are they going to look like, man? Like critical downs and, all that stuff's not just talent. We've talked about it a million times, and there'll be plenty of time to talk about stuff. So that's my only reservation is what do practices look like? Is that thing humming? Is the offense preparing in practice like what I hear about how the defense prepares in practice? Because what I hear, those are two different things. I hear that the way Durkin and the defense prepare in practice and the way Hugh and the offense prepare at practice, it's like watching two different teams. And I want that. I want to hear that both those sides are honed in, dialed in, nothing falling through the cracks. That's the kind of stuff I want to hear.
I'll back you up on that. I've heard similar things, and I don't think it's like an effort thing. I don't think that's the problem. It's a one side's a lot more analytical, and the other side's getting after it. If that makes sense. The other side, they're having fun doing it. They know what they're doing. The other side's trying to install every week, and it slows them down, and the pace is different. And does that make sense? Is that kind of what you're hearing?
Yeah, like I think just sort of general, just being on task and just sort of the efficiency of how it's run. You just watch it, and it's boom to boom to boom. You feel like guys are where they need to be. There's communication. They're listening. And it just looks like there's a very specific plan and goal, and it doesn't always look like that on offense. You're kind of like, what's sort of the deal here? What are we running? And then you practice things, and it's not being translated into the game, or you're practicing things, and then you never run them in a game, and you're running things in a game that you never practiced. Like that, all that stuff's got to get on the same page. You got to practice it, and then you need to be running what you practice and not pulling out rabbits out of the hat in games, and you're going, that wasn't even on the game sheet for this week. We're just pulling it out and running it. And no wonder we screw it up on third down. Like that's from an offensive standpoint. That stuff happened.
How much do you think having a offensive line that returns almost the entire offensive line? You have Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons, your key core there returning with a year in this, and they know what to expect. Does that change things from that perspective? I feel like it does, but how much?
Mm-hmm. I hope so. It should. I mean, you definitely had some issues with some, miscommunication routes and stuff, but Cam and Malcolm are back. Offensive line, you got the core back. The tackles could be new, we think, right? The tackles are probably going to be the two transfers, we think, and the middle is all back. So, yeah, all that should be. I mean, there should be a little bit better communication there. Connor Lew entering, is he a junior now? Is he entering year 3?
Yeah, he's a junior.
Yeah, it should be, man. It should be, but you still have a new quarterback.
Yeah. One of my big points this offseason, Justin, has been with quarterback. And I probably propped up Peyton Thorne more than anybody has, and that pisses people off. And it is what it is. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think he didn't fit what was going on. I think his mind probably worked differently than Hugh Freeze's, and that's never going to work. It's just doesn't. That's not the way that his offensive system works. Quarterback's got to be on the same page with him, right? And sometimes that was a Peyton problem. Sometimes it was a Freeze problem, and it went back and forth. Bottom line was they didn't see eye to eye all the time. They didn't think alike. They'd be in a situation where Freeze is expecting him to do something a certain way, where Peyton's going, well, this is not how we practiced it. I did it the way you asked me to do it. He's very black and white about things. I think you might have a guy now in Jackson Arnold. I don't know this, just based on what I've seen and what I know about him, that has a little bit of gamesmanship where he's like, I know how he said it, but I know how to make a play right here, or I know what's best. And I think that's how Hugh Freeze actually wants it to happen, to where he's not having to coach every little detail and change things all the time, where he's going, you handle it. I want you to take care of this. Whether that's the right way or not, that's how I've perceived it being done.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting dynamic. I mean, because what did we hear last year? We heard, when like maybe a miscommunication flared up, we heard Freeze kind of say things like, maybe I should have said more, or maybe I should have communicated literally specifically what to do, what not to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's probably a good idea. It's probably a good place to start.
Comes to mind immediately is the 4th and 2 against Georgia, where Peyton changes the play into a read. It was not supposed to be a read, it's supposed to be a handoff. The reason he changes it to a read is because the backside end was going to come free. He thought that would make the play. So he makes it a read where he can pull it if he needs to, if the guy crashes down. Ends up being a total debauchery of a play where Freeze is going, why in God's name would you change it like that? And he's going, you told me if we had a free edge to change it.
Yeah.
Not on 4th and 2. That kind of thing, right?
Just situational stuff. Yeah, well, that'll be interesting to watch. Maybe the first shoot we might know in the Baylor game. I mean, on the road could be I would expect to be a tense environment. I think we could see a little bit of that relationship between Jackson Arnold and Hugh Freeze right away. We could see some stress and some tumultuous sort of series of events, and maybe we'll see a little bit of how they interact on the sideline. And I'm curious to see that because we saw a lot of that last year where it didn't always look great on the sideline, and so I'm curious to see maybe if Freeze handles it exactly the same, or if that rapport is a little different between him and Jackson. That'll be interesting to watch. That'd be interesting to see.
Definitely. Hayden Beasley says, can y'all dive into how Eric Singleton will be used in the offensive game plan, specifically his alignment, design plays? Do you see this offense as being a gadget, like maybe how Gus would use an Eric Singleton, like jet sweep, screens, maybe a little bit? I think you can maybe evolve the offense a little bit into that with him now, right? Or would you have done that with Simmons a year ago? Is this the same kind of guy?
I mean, they're similar. I mean, Singleton's, I'd say Singleton's, I think, a little bit stronger, a little more stockier. I think, a little bit of size to him, even not in terms of height, but just overall, I think strength. Maybe Simmons is getting there. I don't know, man. This is like one of those things that, again, I think is an interesting thing because one of the things we talked about last year was you got Keandre, you got Cam, and you had Malcolm was capable, and at times you're like, you wanted him to target these guys, and it always felt like that's sort of not how Freeze called plays. He wanted to call plays based on the defense. What are they doing? And we're just going to always have the right play.
Yeah.
And you wanted to sort of go like Madden mode and just go, I'm going to go pick a player, and I'm going to pick a play for that player. Like, I don't care what the defense is doing. And you'd like to maybe see a little bit of that, man, between Cam, Singleton, and Simmons, who let's see here. Get out of there. Yard, solo homer for Auburn in the bottom of the 5th. Who is that? Eric Snow. Eric Snow goes yard in the bottom of the 5th to get Auburn on the board. So that's 3-1. And we'll see if Auburn can climb back 3-1 now, bottom of the 5th. Auburn's on the board. So I don't know. Like, you just got some dudes there that you'd love to see some times where they just go, I'm getting him the ball. Like, I'm going to isolate him on one side, and he's getting the ball. And like whatever the easiest way to do that is. But I was saying about Malcolm, Malcolm's getting lost in the shuffle here because Cam and Eric Singleton, I think Pro Football Focus had both of them. They were like 5 and 6 among top 10 receivers coming back. Like, they were both looked at as top 10 overall receivers coming back in college football. And that's fine. Malcolm, Malcolm shouldn't be necessarily top 10 overall. I'm not saying he should be on that list, but because of the attention Cam and Singleton are getting, Malcolm's getting forgotten about, and he shouldn't be. He's really talented, and it could set up nicely where he's your 3. All this focus on Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman, and like Malcolm, I think could be the jet sweep guy. You can do it with Singleton too, but Malcolm, like, dude, if he lives up to the billing and he takes a big step, I mean, you got a trio there that's potentially as good of a 1-2-3 at receiver that I've seen in my lifetime at Auburn. Maybe in the program, because the further you go back, the probably less likely you are to find a trio of receivers, right? Just because the game's changed. But I mean, you could obviously talk about those Obamanu, Roma Shadu, Courtney Taylor, Anthony Mix. That's a pretty stout quartet.
That's the only one, right?
Yeah, that was a good quartet. Like, that was, even Anthony Mix was good in his role, and Obamanu, but like top end talent.
Maybe you might could say like Sammy Coates and Duke Williams and Ricardo Lewis that year, 2014.
All Ricardo did was get sweeps, man. Like, he wasn't used enough, and Sammy and Duke were good. I think Cam and Eric Singleton's top end talent, top end of what they can be. You're talking first round talent, and you toss Simmons in. I think you could make the case it's the best trio. They got to show it. They got to prove it. But potentially the best trio of receivers Auburn's had on the field at any given time. I
No,
think you could. I
easily.
think you could make that case, and if they back it up, we could be in October going. It's true. It could be.
I mean, you already have Freeze. It was asked point blank. How do you compare this room that you have right now to the room you had at Ole Miss with DK Metcalf and AJ Brown, Van Jefferson, Evan Ingram? And he goes, well, I mean, it's too early to do that, but the talent rivals it. That's for sure. So he's already going that far. And has Auburn ever had a receiving room like DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, Van Jefferson? No, definitely not.
No.
Before we move to Smitty, though, hey, good question on the board, and this is just a board post that's been up for a little bit today from Weagle WDE. Who would you take if they were in the same portal class? You got your choice of one of the two, okay? Eric Singleton, and you can only pick one: Eric Singleton or Keandre Lambert-Smith. I'll go ahead and tell you one of these. I'm looking at the poll. He did a poll. It's 133 votes to 50 right now, and
between those two.
And I picked, of course I did.
I would say, of course, because I overthink it. I would first say, who else do you have at receiver? Is Cam Coleman on the other side?
Let's say you have the what you have currently. Take Eric Singleton out.
Cam and Malcolm, and then who do you pair or something?
And Fields and Perry and
I would go. God, I would go Singleton because I think the way the game is going and the spacing of the game, it's just about separation, especially with what Hugh Freeze wants to do, man. Just if you just separate, look at like Tyreek Hill and like the success he has, and some of these receivers that are not overly big, but if you can separate, you're golden. And Eric Singleton is elite at separation. So if I had to choose, I would say if I've got Cam, that's kind of a bigger target. Give me somebody like Singleton that is absolutely elite. Like if you took Keandre and Eric Singleton, I think one of them does one thing at an elite level, and that would be Singleton separation. And I don't know that Keandre does something at an elite level. Great receiver. So I would lean Singleton just because I think he does that his speed and agility. He can get open, I think, against even the best corners.
I was pretty torn. It wasn't like an easy pick for me. I don't disagree with anybody that picked Singleton. I picked KLS, and I've learned about myself a lot with all these polls everybody puts up. I'm definitely a bird in the hand guy, 100%. I've seen Keandre Lambert-Smith be successful in an offense that was dysfunctional.
Yeah,
when you at the root of it, when you look at it, with the quarterback who everybody says sucks, right? Everybody said he sucked. He's the worst quarterback in Auburn history. Keandre Lambert-Smith nearly eclipsed 1,000 yards. Very close. And he ran a 4.3. He did all this stuff. I'm kind of a bird in the hand guy where I go, that guy, to me, he proved something to me. Eric Singleton still got to prove to me he can do it at Auburn. That's kind of where I'm at on that.
Well, and now you're also okay. So I mean, that would be also like, are we taking this? We know what KLS did last year. Or are we saying we don't take that season away based on what KLS did at Penn State, based on what Singleton did at Georgia Tech? Who are we taking? Or we're saying we know what KLS did last year at Auburn. I would say
you're going based on what they did at Penn State.
I'd go back and take KLS away last year. What do we know coming in? What do we know coming in?
It's Singleton then.
That's how I would look at the question. Like, because Singleton,
if you're looking at it that way. It's
oh boy,
not that KLS was bad by any means. He did some good things at Penn State, but he
made some. Yeah,
that's the thing too that about this offense when we sit here and talk about it, and I'm as critical of it as you are on all these levels that we've talked about. But you took a Keandre Lambert-Smith from a program that's beaten you twice, a program that's technically above you right now.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Penn State, and made him better. You made him better. Yeah. I don't necessarily know if that means he had untapped potential, that you just used him more. I don't think it does. I mean, he had pretty good production at Penn State. They used him, scored a lot. But if you're able to do that with your offensive system and a quarterback that everybody says is terrible and can ever play at Auburn, whatever. I'm kind of impressed by that. Something tells me that is a good sign moving forward, right?
Yeah.
What happened on the baseball game?
Oh, Auburn had a man on first and got in a rundown and was the third out, which he never wanted to do. Got picked off. So there's still 3-1. What did Bradford at? He asked. He asked there about the quarterbacks. Is everyone quarterback better than Charlotte? No, I don't know. I mean, no. As talented as Deuce Knight is, you just can't say he's better. He's played no college games. I'm sorry. Like unless you're. I can't get on board with saying.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go that far with Deuce yet.
I mean, go read for all Peyton Thorne, whatever. If I just go back and read Peyton Thorne's stats last year and said, would Deuce do this year? I guess you could say maybe, but
back to the same question. Ashton Daniels at Stanford, Peyton Thorne at Michigan State.
Feels similar.
Both 2-year starters. What's the big difference, though? Ashton Daniels is a runner, right?
Yeah. Or
really,
certainly
really
Peyton was more athletic than probably we thought coming in.
No, he handled his own with that pretty well. I mean, I don't think he expected to be running that much. But Ashton Daniels is a natural runner. That's what he does.
Yeah.
So I would expect people would pick that. He would just side-by-side stat comparison without even looking at the film.
You certainly have more options. Like, it was just really Peyton. That's really all you had last year. I know Hank was there, but Hank wasn't ready. It was Peyton or die last year. And I would say this year you've got Deuce Knight with this potential and talent, and he can run. Who knows what he would look like if you threw him out there. Ashton Daniels, I would say you for sure have options if there was an injury, if Jackson Arnold got hurt, just summer workouts, preseason camp. That room will be very competitive. Like Deuce Knight, if he continues to get better, and Ashton Daniels, if he comes in and he does everything right and he makes the right checks and he's got that mobility, if he's just steady, that kind of stuff. If you're Jackson Arnold, you're going to go, there's no days off here. Like Deuce is getting better. Ashton does everything right. I'm not in a position to come out here and just like have a few bad days, but it doesn't matter because I'm just so much better than the other guys. I think he is the guy and should be the guy, but I think the other guys bring something to the table that it will feel competitive in the summer and the fall. I don't think Jackson's in danger of getting beat out. I just think there's some things that those guys can do right now where that room will feel competitive. It's like you're going to have two guys. Deuce is knocking on the door. He's like, I'm here. I want to play. And Ashton's like, y'all don't think I'm any good? I'm being. There's just something I think those two guys will bring that will help the whole room, and I think will help.
Well, it's got to be fit, right? I mean, it feels like these three guys just fit better. I mean, Hank Brown, I think he's going to be fine. I would probably a good fit for him. I don't think Auburn's offense was. Holden Gerner, definitely not. Right? No. Peyton, there's a lot. I mean, he did good things. He did bad things. I don't know if the fit was where it needed to be. I just
probably fair, and I also think we have not that. Good Lord, I don't want to be in 2025 talking about Peyton. I know nothing against Peyton. I just was like,
I do.
Holy cow! I want Peyton to.
We want to keep talking about him. Let's just keep going.
I want Peyton to go be happy and live his life, and I want Auburn fans to move on. I cannot do another season of comparing to Peyton Thorne. But I think looking back, though, I do think we sort of forget. To be fair, if you go back to when they landed Peyton, and this isn't a knock on Peyton. That was not choice 1 or choice 2 or even choice 3. Like, I'd have to go back. There were quarterbacks they were trying to get in the portal. They were trying to entice into the portal. And then eventually they missed on some guys. And then Peyton Thorne became the guy. To be fair, too, it's not like they went out, Peyton's our guy. So when you talk about fit, like, is he the best fit? Probably fair. I mean, he wasn't the first choice, and that's not a knock on Peyton. It just is what it is. So like, I think it was a case where they're like, we need somebody. They worked down the list, and you got to Peyton, who there's some things to be optimistic about, but maybe not the perfect fit. And you did the best you could for 2 years, you know.
I think what it is too, Justin, and Zach makes a good point, talking about the Ashton Daniels to Peyton comparison. Peyton won 11 games as a starter at Michigan State. Stanford has been terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So people would look at that 100% if they were making that decision, didn't know anything about it.
Especially quarterback.
But I think what we both share the same fear for Auburn fans, Justin, where we're going. I get what you're saying about Peyton. We hear you out, and we know we watched. Okay, there were things he's got to do better. Quarterback's got to be better at certain things that he was not able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I fear, and I know you have the same fear for Auburn fans, that you're going to see another situation where you think things are so much better, and you think, well, it can't ever be as bad as that guy. But because of the way things are done, sometimes you get scared and go, it could. It could look that bad. Fix this. You better fix this. You better fix some of these things, or you're gonna shock people at how bad you can make this situation look. I fear for that. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, and I think they're in a better situation. I mean, you've got the addition of Singleton and hopefully the development of Simmons. You had KLS, but Cam was a true freshman. Simmons was a true freshman. Now Cam's a sophomore. Malcolm's a sophomore, and you have a receiver that's better than KLS. So your whole receiver situation, you should feel way better about in terms of getting the ball to somebody, offensive line marginally better. So like if you just inserted Peyton again, you should feel like you're in a better situation, let alone if you think Jackson Arnold is a better quarterback.
Right. We'll read Adam real quick, Zach, and then I want to get back to Smitty because we keep passing over him. But Adam Passeur, I think maybe is how you say that, kind of like Alan says mature. According to Pro Football Focus, Jackson Arnold was pressured on 46% of his plays at Oklahoma. What do you expect that number to be at Auburn this season? What does that mean for the offense? Adam P. That's our guy, Adam P. 46 is a lot, man.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Let's not do every 2 plays. Let's probably bring that down a touch.
Let me I'm curious. Let's see what Peyton's was.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to look up. I was trying to see what Peyton did.
Let me see. I can get it up here pretty quick. I do not expect that, Adam. I think that's too much. I would be shocked if Peyton was in the 40s. Where do you find that?
Should be pressure on drop back. Let's see. Drop back percentage. What are you talking about? Overall pressure?
I guess so, yeah. I'm looking at 50. Surely that's not it. I don't know. I'd have to dig for it, I think. I'll let you look at it while I talk through this. Hunter Hanna says 34% for Peyton. Check on that. We'll see if that's right. But that is one thing. Auburn's pass protection does have to get better. It was not that bad. It was not as bad as Oklahoma's. I feel pretty comfortable saying that.
Yeah.
Oh, Zach says 29.7. 29.7 for Peyton.
That's probably about right. I mean, Oklahoma had issues on offense. I mean, Oklahoma's offense was probably a bigger mess than Auburn's.
Yeah, it was.
It got an offensive coordinator, got fired. And yet they still came into Auburn and won with a true freshman.
Yeah, they beat Alabama too, with Jackson Arnold at quarterback.
That number better be, it better be lower. If you think you got better on the line, and you think your receiver situation's better, so hopefully in terms of miscommunication or guys just simply getting open, if that situation is better, you should get rid of the ball.
From a recruiting standpoint, the 2 guys they brought in, and even PFF agrees, and I saw it on film. I looked on PFF; it's all tracks. Mason Murphy, who I do think is going to start at right tackle, and Xavier Chaplin, who I'm pretty sure is going to start at left tackle, are better at pass protection. They're pretty strong, both of them. I think Xavier Chaplin's a better run blocker than Mason Murphy, and he's pretty strong at both. That's why he's like an NFL prospect. But you were definitely, if you're Auburn, you were going, we got to upgrade that. That's got to be better. I think more of it was missed assignments than it was just guys getting absolutely whipped. And I did see that happen to Isaiah Miller a few times. I think you've upgraded there. I do think he'll still play. He'll be part of the rotation. But they took some advances to make sure their pass protection was going to be better. You add that with updated, better weapons. I mean, it just doesn't make sense if Auburn went backwards after this, right? It wouldn't make any sense at all.
No. There's no reason. There's no excuse. Like, when we're not even going to start down that path.
No,
I mean, you don't spend between Jackson Arnold, Xavier Chaplin, and Eric Singleton. You spent over $5 million, or you spent basically $5 million in NIL between those three people,
right?
And then a bunch of other guys are back, and one of those people, we're talking about a quarterback. So no, there is zero excuse to go backwards. That was kind of why I didn't love what Hefree said last week. It was like, man, you got so much commitment from an NIL perspective, so much legit. I mean, you know, this roster is not cheap. And so just from that standpoint alone, like, there's no going backwards. You can't spend the money you're talking about with this roster and then be even remotely tinkering or flirting with bowl game-ish expectations only.
Yeah, which I don't think that's the expectations. He just, you know how he is when he gets talking. His PR guy, what a nightmare it can be for him.
Not a PR guy. No, clearly.
Oh, well, good.
Clearly.
Good. That somebody is stress-free because of that.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, it's not work.
But I'm also on the side that I could not stand to listen to Gus Malzahn any longer. I couldn't. I did.
Yeah. No, that wasn't great. Yeah.
Didn't learn anything from him, not once,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
At least we get some insight with Freeze. Whether you agree with it, believe it, whatever.
I wouldn't argue. Wouldn't argue with that. I would not argue with that. You feel like the question is what you're hearing from Freeze? What's like really the truth, and what's kind of like sort of him hauling or lowering the bar for his own, for his own gain. You get more words. You feel like you're getting more transparency, but like, unless it's like the real deal transparency, or are we just kind of talking? I don't always know. But yes, Malzahn got very boring, and Harsin was so condescending that I was like, my gosh.
Malzahn he really pissed me off, because I had a lot of questions about what we witnessed on the field with him. Please, let's not forget this. I just can't let it go. It was some of the most absurd play calling I had ever seen in my lifetime.
It was wild sometimes.
Absurd. I think the play calling, just from that standpoint with what we're dealing with now, much better. It's more of a structural thing, I think, this time around. It's not a play call. I think play calling is fine. If you go back and watch the A&M game, boy, he diced them up.
Mm-hmm.
I thought play calling was fantastic in that game. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get to Smitty. We've been just killing Smitty here. Cole Kublik picked Auburn to have the number 3 offensive line in the SEC. Is Auburn where it needs to be in the trenches to be successful?
Define successful.
Well, I think he's saying, look, if you don't have a good offensive line, you're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter how good your receivers are. Is the offensive line good enough to take care of that, where it's not a worry anymore?
Yeah, I just say define successful because I just I just think as Auburn fans, we need to like, I think you guys, like, I think the 5 years, 20, 21, 22, 23, 5 years of just super average or below average football. Just absolute mediocrity for 5 years. So when I hear successful, I want to know, like, is that still where we're at? Is it like, is this question saying, are they where we need to be to win 8 games? Or is it like, is this line where they need to be to push Georgia and Alabama off the ball?
Yeah, I would just boil it down to, are you worried about Auburn's offensive line at all?
I mean, probably always, until I actually see. I mean, when's the last time you had an Auburn offensive line that you're like, that guy, they could move and they could create success even against the better lines? You got to go back to 19 probably at some at times. I mean,
I'm really not worried about this offensive line from a running game standpoint. I'm not. I thought they handled that really well, even against the Bamas and Georgias.
Yeah.
Pass protection scares me. That's where I start worrying, But like I said, I think they've made some improvements there.
I'll say this. I trust Cole. Cole knows his stuff.
Thank you.
You Cole and Cole Keeler. So if he says if you're top 3 O-line in the SEC, like the SEC above anything else is about the trenches. The reason the SEC has been so good for so long, yeah, there's speed and there's athletes and there's all that, but that athleticism in the trenches is what generally has separated the SEC. Like just big dudes who can move on the defensive line and offensive lines, like those, that athletic ability in the trenches is a lot of times what sets the SEC apart. So if he's saying that group is the 3rd best in the league, that alone, then yes, you're where you need to be. That if that's true, then that's I can't remember the last time that you went into a season saying Auburn's offensive line is a top 3 unit in the league. That's you're getting like that's championship level stuff. Like if you're top 3, if your unit is top 3 in the league, to me that unit is capable. That unit alone is capable. That's a championship level unit. If every unit on the football field was top 3 in the league, you are a SEC championship contender.
Right.
So if your offensive line's 3rd, then that unit alone is championship caliber. That's what you're telling me. If it's that good.
Smitty clarified. He said Free said that Auburn needed to build from the trenches to be successful. He's asking, is Auburn there?
Yeah.
I think you still have a little ways to go on the offensive line because you want to get to a point where you're not having to plug in a Chaplin and you're not having to plug in a Murphy, right? To where you already have it. I mean, that's kind of where Georgia, well, not Alabama. They've gone to the portal a little bit on the offensive line, even with 5 stars everywhere. So, that's the hardest thing about it because you can get 5 stars, you can get all these guys, and it may not work out. Offensive line's tough. It's a tough one to get. The best, to me, the best way that you have offensive line, the offensive line room the way it needs to be is if you have guys behind the starters that can plug in after the ones at the top leave, and you're okay with it. And right now, I think DeAndre Carter's going to be a guy like that. I do think Tyler Johnson's going to be a guy like that. I think they trust those guys. And then I want to see what the crop of freshmen do, like Brody Scholl, Jacoby Ward, who's coming in, Kale Ellis, Ty Buster. I don't know enough about those guys yet, but you do have some pieces that you're moving forward going, and I think these guys can help us. So that's where I haven't seen Auburn be like that in a while. And I think that's exactly what Kublik said too, and he was like, look, this is an uncomfortable thing I'm having to say here because I don't trust it, but let's do it. Auburn number 3.
And doesn't it feel like Wade, I don't know what you feel about Wade, but Wade at guard feels better than Wade at tackle. Chaplin feels like a tackle. The potential starting 5 feels like they're where they should be, whereas maybe the last few years you felt like it's sort of try to find the best 5, but maybe he's better at a guard, but he's kind of the best option we have at tackle. And I don't know. I think everybody sort of fits nicely with this group, guard, tackle across the board. So, yeah. What's Jim say? What's the floor on stats for Perry Thompson? Boy, I don't even know that you could answer that question. I don't even know that it matters. Here's a better question to me: is Perry Thompson good enough? Is he even good enough to take the steps this year to get the playing time that he wants to where it even matters? I'm not sure. I'm not sure he does anything. I'm not sure he does enough this year to make himself feel good that he's in line to just break out next year.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely possible he leaves after this year. Like I would almost, if you asked me to bet on it, and I haven't talked to Perry. It's not like I know anything. I would bet that he leaves because I don't think at this moment, I don't think he's going to get in the rotation enough to have a year where he walks away going, I got a lot better. I was a huge part of the success, and then Singleton's going to go pro, and I'm going to ball out next year. I don't know that that's the way he's going to feel about it, and I don't think you're going to get any promises from Auburn about that. And so, anyway, that's my thought.
That's going to be tough. I mean, I'm a Perry Thompson believer. I saw him in high school. I really love his skill set. I love his size and that combination. I think that he can be really good. Is he ever going to be like superstar receiver? I don't know. Not sure. I do know that, I don't know if I even heard Free say this. I think I heard someone else say it. DK Metcalf redshirted his freshman year, and there was similar talk like, he's a bigger guy, doesn't run routes quite as well. Is this a guy that can – and he ends up breaking out. And it's going to be tougher because I think this wide receiver room's loaded. You got to find a way in there. I like his talent, though. That's the main thing I'll say about him. I just like it, and I think there's a place for it. So I hope it works out. And I could see him having an impact. I just don't know how big it'll be. And I'm with you. If it's not big enough, what does he do from there? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, it's a different time. I think if you hear Hugh talk about Metcalf, like if you hear to me, that would be Hugh trying to make the case publicly of why Perry should stick it out.
I don't think it was Hugh. I don't think it was him I heard that from.
Oh, okay. If it was, it would make sense of kind of Hugh speaking through the media like, hey, look at DK Metcalf. That's probably what he's telling him. Like, listen, look at DK Metcalf. Like, stay the course. But such a different time that I don't. Someone like Perry Thompson with his high school accolades and his physical build, if Perry wants to transfer, there's going to be a number of programs that are going to go. Yeah. That dude looks the part. Okay, he hasn't done much, but he looks the part. And for us, that guy could be great. We'll give him, whatever. I just sort of see how that played out.
Well, that's already happened. I mean,
yeah,
his prowess. There have been several schools that went calling for him. There were two players I heard in the offseason that were just getting hounded, and he was one of them, and the other one was Braden Joyner, and Braden Joyner's gone. So Perry believes in it, evidently, because I think he had the opportunity to go somewhere else, and I think it can benefit. I think he can benefit from it. I can't give you an answer to the stat line thing. I just don't know. It's
so crazy.
Too hard to predict.
Listen, Malcolm was too. Cam was too. Those guys had standing offers.
Justin, I do have a question on the corner for you. Let's finish the football though, because it's the basketball, and I want to get your
yeah. What's Hunter say? What are you more excited about, Baylor? Oh, to watch Auburn play this year. Well, if you're saying like just to watch at Oklahoma, first SEC game at Oklahoma, just like that first SEC game at Texas will be cool to watch. So I would say, that first SEC game at Oklahoma and then that first SEC game where Auburn's at Texas will be cool visual sort of moments, I think,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if that's, it sort of sounds like that's the way that was like, we're just excited to watch them at that place. I mean,
I'm mad about the Friday night thing for Baylor just because I want to be at a high school game that night. Yeah, that's my thing. I enjoy high school football, but at the same time, I think that's going to be really cool having a Friday night game.
Yeah.
Did I hear that it wasn't even the prime time matchup on that Friday night? It's going to be like Colorado and.
Oh, I'd have to look. Well, if Colorado's there, then we all know the attention will go there. Yeah, it's weird. I don't love it because so many people in Alabama are at high school football games, and so Friday night definitely messes with that. I do like it from a national perspective. You're going to get attention, and I like it if you're a coaching staff. You get to play your very first game at Baylor Friday. You're home. You hop on a plane. You're waking up in your bed Saturday morning, and you feel like you've got a full week before that first home game. So you get a day back there that they probably will enjoy leading into that, whatever that second game is at home. But so they probably feel like they're just not behind, like first road game to start the season. You're back on Sunday, your press conference Monday. You feel like it's week 2 and you're like already, behind or something. So I probably like that from a prep standpoint to do it on a Friday too.
Yeah. Jacob Phillips, is it crazy to think Auburn could get to 9 wins?
No, it's not crazy. I wouldn't be my guess. I think Auburn fans are at 8-4. I think that's where they are. I think the majority of Auburn fans are like, if you go 8-4, they're good with that. Happy, thrilled, and I don't know, but like 8-4, they're going to walk away going, I'm cool. I'm cool with 8-4. But not crazy with 9. No, I mean, Bama, Georgia are the only 2 games you're going to play this year where you're going, that roster top to bottom is clearly better. And we're going to have to play excellent football to win those games, even at home. Every other game on the roster, you could win and not even play excellent. You could play very good. You can go like at Oklahoma, at A&M, tough games, but you're at Vanderbilt, at Arkansas. Missouri, at Baylor. Your roster's as good as everything else. Probably roster is A&M's got talent. Oklahoma's got talent. They're a lot of good players there, but your roster top to bottom, I think, is better than most of those teams. So no, like Bama, Georgia, you better bring it. You better be elite in those games to pretty close to it to win. Everything else, you could win those games, and you don't need everything to go right. You just need to play sound football, protect the ball, and you will have your chances to win every other game on that schedule. Am I saying they're going to win 10? No. I'm just making the case that given that, in my opinion, saying 9, that's not crazy. It's just not.
Well, what's crazy about it to me is you go back to like when Auburn's quarterback position was so terrible, you needed a major upgrade to get back on track. Mm-hmm. Like I was doing the number 8s the other day, and Jarrett Stidham was my number 8, the best guy to wear a number 8 jersey since 2000. He was so welcomed, and he wasn't like a superstar. He's in the NFL. He's doing okay, but he wasn't a Cam Newton, or a Nick Marshall for that matter. But it felt like the biggest step ever when you got him from what you had. It was Jeremy Johnson, Shaun White, that whole thing. That's not the case this time. You don't need some guy that's leaps and bounds better than what you had last year. He just needs to be a little bit better. Just a little bit better, and you're winning 8 to 9 games.
Yeah, right. A little bit better. And look, if you listen to Hugh Freeze, they could have won 4 last year with exactly what you had, right? You blew you had Cal, Arkansas, Vandy, and Missouri right there in front of you. You just you didn't win. You screwed up. Whatever it was, 4 games right there. You had a chance with what you had last year. So yes, yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah. Which that whole thing, time will tell on that argument. That could go either way. You could go. They should have. Like Hugh said, we could have, and that's fair. Like, don't say should have. That's disrespectful. Like with Hugh said could have, and that was a good thing to say. But like Cal, Arkansas, Vandy, Missouri, I could go. Auburn should have won those games, and because of that, I think they were so close, and I think they're a little better, and that means they're going to be better this year. Like they should have won those games. Give me an uptick in talent at quarterback, or give me an uptick in talent at receiver, and those 4 games are going to turn into wins. Okay, I could also say you had better rosters than those 4 teams. All those games were right in front of you, and you blew them. Yeah. You blew them, and we'll see if it was talent, or we'll see if it was just you don't make the right plays and the right calls in the critical situations, or you're not prepared in the critical situations. We'll see. Like winning close games is sometimes it's about talent. Sometimes it's about just making the right decisions, players and coaches. So like we'll see on that. Those 4 games, both sides of an argument could make the case of why Auburn's going to be better or why I'm worried. Like golly, we blew games. Better not we do that again this year.
It's very rare that you win games. Like it's very rare that you win tight games when you're the lesser team from a talent standpoint. That's a rare thing, right? I mean, you go back to the 2021 Iron Bowl where Auburn took Alabama to 4 overtimes, right?
Yeah, and 23.
Yeah, and Auburn was a much lesser roster than Alabama at that time.
Blew both of those games.
What was the play that ended it? The whip route to John Mechie, right?
21, yeah.
He was better. He was better in that situation. That was the difference in that game. There are other things, but when it came down to it, talent won. That's the way I see that one.
Yeah.
Now, I think you are so much closer in roster talent to everybody that you play, even Alabama and Georgia. I mean, I don't think they're better, yes, but they're not crazy better. You're in these games. You were in them last year.
The only flip side of that argument that I regarding specifically last year that I always go back to that I could easily say, and it's a perfectly legitimate argument. And again, time will tell in terms of what this season does, and do they get over the hump in winning close games, and do they have the execution and the preparation, and does all that stuff sort of align to execute in close games? But go back to last year, I could also say you lost to Cal, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt at home, and you beat every one of those teams on the road in year one. You didn't just lose one less game last year. You lost one less game last year and lost 3 games at home against teams that you literally beat on the road the very year before. That's not a good direction. You're like, we beat Cal on the road, we lost at home, and the next year we Arkansas been those 3 games just stick with me more than just dropping from 6 to 5 wins. I mean, it's not the direction you want to go, but those 3, and you're like, we beat those guys last year in their place. And I get it. There's a few little nuanced differences, but you're like, it's not like Cal, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt just were like completely different loaded rosters with talent. I mean, same program, similar thing coming in. You think you're better. You think your talent's better. You're at home. All those environments were legit. Didn't love that. Didn't love. Which goes back to the whole talent thing when you talk about talent and when Freeze talks about recruiting classes. We need recruiting classes. If you're talking about winning an SEC championship, yes, no question. You didn't have the depth. You didn't have any of that. But you don't need a top 10 class to beat New Mexico State or Cal or Arkansas or Vandy. You do not need you do not need 3 straight top 10 classes to win those games at home. So like you need better talent if you want to compete for the championship. Yes. You got to do that every year to build. Yes, 100%. But it's hard to hear that argument when you lose to lesser teams too. That those are tough things to hear at the same time. Like you got to sort of, I don't know.
Well, what I love about this season is that it's the 3rd year. You either get better or you're gone, and I love it. There's pressure. I don't care. I like it. I'm ready for it. It excites. It's just like the third. They call third money down. 3rd year's the money year right now.
I agree. I mean it's always. I think it's always been like. And don't you? I mean, how do you look at? So Freeze's thing is, I need 3 full years of recruiting. Like, do you think that's still the case, or with the portal, do you go, man? If you technically with the portal, you have 4 classes. You have 4 opportunities to do anything you want with the roster. You have a spring window, a portal window. And let's just say you want to lump those into one, winter, spring. Let's just say like it's just one. But like if you don't want to count those as 2, you could say 2 high schools and still 2 ports. That's 4. Yeah, it's 4. You got 4 chances, 4 windows, 4 classes to do anything you want. You could turn the whole roster over if you want. You could just screw it, starting over. You do anything you want 4 different times.
Well, there's 2 styles, right?
Yeah.
You have the Lane Kiffin style where it's portal. High school takes a back seat. And then you have the Dabo Swinney style where we don't do portal. I don't care how many times. I don't care how many people tell me to do it. Mm-hmm. You can all eat it. I'm going to do it my way. High school. We build out of high school. We don't do portal. Which one do you think Freeze is closer to of those 2 styles?
Who was the other one? Dabo and who?
And
Lane. Oh, he's closer to Dabo, but he knows he's got to be in the portal. You got to do the portal a little bit. Yeah, and you're not established like Clemson either. Dabo, he was in position to play that game. Yeah,
he started that run before this era.
Oh my gosh! I mean, Dabo was good for a decade. You could go. We're just going to stand on our brand name, and we're going to go high school
for sure.
And yeah.
I'm not doubting that. I do like that he sticks to his guns, but I'm not doubting that either.
Yeah.
But I do think Freeze is closer to that style. That's what he wants to be like anyway. He would rather build it out of high school than transfer portal. He's using the portal. Don't get me wrong. But knowing that, I think that's why he says the 3-year thing. I want my 3 years out of high school, and then let me show you what I can do with that, is what he's trying to say. Whereas Auburn fans are going, this is year 3. I don't care about the 3-year thing. It's got to be done. Auburn's been too bad. It's not all your fault that Auburn's been that bad the whole time, but we need a guy that's going to fix it. Are you the guy or not? I don't care about the 3-year thing. And I'm on board with that. Totally on board with that. I think it's fair. I think at this point, you've had enough. You've done enough. You've got enough on roster to do what you need to do. I don't want to put more pressure on him than there already is. That's not my goal here. I just hope that I'm speaking in truth.
Yeah. And that's something we've talked about. I think that's the nuance to this whole thing. Is Freeze is making his case for 3 years. And one, you could say, man, with the portal season, you don't need 3. You need 2. I watched Indiana go to the playoff last year. Like I watched Arizona State go. You do not need 3 full years. And then we lift our head out of the water and go, all right, where are we at? But the other nuance is the
I don't
5
think
years. What?
I don't think he's saying that either, though. I think, which I'm not saying you're saying that, but I think it's more of, he's acknowledging we are going to get better this year, but after 3 recruiting classes, watch out is what it says to me.
Yeah, maybe he needs to clarify that. It sounds like give me 3 years and then we'll like that's what it's going to take to build. And I just see, you just see other programs going, I don't need 3 years. Indiana didn't need 3 years. Arizona State didn't need 3 years. So, and again, you didn't need 3 years to have the talent to beat New Mexico State, Cal, Arkansas, or Vanderbilt. So you just can't do all that. But the nuance is the nuance is 20, 21, 22, 18 was not a great year. The nuance is Auburn fans going, listen, man, like we'd love to like give you time, but we're tired. We're tired of the mediocrity. And so sorry, it is what it is. And so you have a battle of Hugh Freeze trying to set his own expectation and Auburn fans fighting that, I think, a little bit, going, sure, like we're going to compromise. You want 3? We're going to give you 2, and now we're ready. And so you just have a little bit of Auburn fans are ready quicker than Freeze would like probably for them to expect to. Like Auburn fans are like, give me 8 or 9 this year. And Hugh's like, can you just give me like one more year to kind of get. And so I think you just have a little bit of a battle of Hugh trying to set these expectations and Auburn fans kind of going, I don't know, man. I don't know that we want to give you 3 full. And then, all right, now I'm going to raise my expectations after 3 years in the current landscape of where we're at. Like,
and he's just got to get people believing in him. That's all it is. You can't do it with what you've done on the field yet. The recruiting helps. That's why you're still here, because of what you've done in the recruiting.
Yeah, elite.
You haven't done anything on the field worth anything yet. But in year 3, if you show major improvement from what we have seen, they will believe in you. They will. I don't have to put a number on that. Just show major improvement. Show that Auburn belongs. And you got them back on your side. And then you get your next top 10 class. We're rolling. That's what everybody wants out of this.
Especially when you did some of that in year 1. You can't take Georgia the fourth quarter in year 1. You had Alabama beat in year 1. You go to a bowl game in year 1. So you cannot allow yourself as a fan, I don't think, to go into year 3 and go, yeah, let's just do those again. Like, let's bowl game, play Alabama and Georgia tough. And I'm like, wait, that happened in year 1. Why is anything that happened in year 1 an expectation for year 3? Like, if you walk away this year and go, went 7-5, almost beat Alabama, you're like, that's what we did 2 years ago with supposedly terrible talent and a terrible roster. Like, you cannot have expectations this year that even remotely mirror things you already accomplished in year 1. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
We'll take 2 more, Justin, since we went over an hour. But Hunter Hanna, he just wants to know one offensive, one defensive player that nobody's talking about right now. Answer that real quick. I think defense is Chris Murray. I don't hear anything about him. That's an 8.5 sack guy coming in. I think he does a lot. I think he kind of plays your Jalen McLeod role where he can stand up and do some things there too. So I like him. Don't hear anybody talking about him on defense.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, I don't know much. I mean, that would be
offense. I'll go. Can't say Jeremiah Cobb because I think everybody wants him to be good, right?
No, I think that would fit into nobody's talking about him. I mean, he's not getting any kind of love, really, because he's talented, but he hasn't really broken out. I mean, at some point, it's sort of like Perry. Like, at some point, get over the hump, do or die. I think that'd be a fair one to.
I don't really think he's been given a great shot yet either. That's my other thing. Some backs need to get in a rhythm, and he's got no shot to get in a rhythm yet.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Goes back to that conversation about getting. Hold on, I think did we lose him? Cole, you there? I don't know if we had an internet issue. There he is. No, I was going to say with Cobb, it kind of goes back to what we're saying about getting guys the ball. Like, can you just consistently get a playmaker the ball and stuff like that? Those are probably two good choices. Who are we not talking about enough? I could maybe was it not? Is it? We're not talking about them enough, or they're going to make an impact. They're just sort of being. Yeah. I mean, could Blockton be in that conversation?
In that conversation, I would go with Keyron Crawford.
Like we know him, we know he's going to be important, but maybe we're underselling exactly how important he could be. Yeah,
Bobby Travis, you could say that about him.
Blockton's, Keyron Crawford certainly won. I would maybe Blockton. I mean, he showed flashes, man. Like he better be really good.
He's new. He's new, so nobody really knows what to think. Me personally, I love his film. I think he can translate. Is James Ash that you just brought in from Florida A&M? It would be the first FCS defensive guy Auburn's brought in. Zach, I know you're the FCS guy. Zach's high on James Ash too. So a lot of factors there where I'm going, James Ash could be a good player for Auburn. I like him. Justin, let me find this real quick.
And if I had to go offense, find that real quick. Offense, maybe we've talked about him. He got a bunch of love in spring camp, but nationally, I don't think anybody probably could know his name. But well, I don't know if that's a good one. Like, how good is Sam Turner going to be? But I don't think it matters because of what the three guys ahead of them, and Fields would be more in line. Those top three, though, I think are going to be so good that I don't know what space, like, I don't know how much oxygen is left after Cam, Singleton, and Malcolm for really even Fields for anybody to break out or like those three. I just think are going to dominate what Auburn does. Fields, maybe a red zone guy. Maybe Fields might be a guy like in situations he could pop up and you're watching a game and nationally and go, wait, Cam, Singleton, Simmons, but wait, who's this guy? Fields? It could be like one of those things. Fields catches a touchdown and you're going, wait, so they got four? Like that's pretty,
Yeah, I mean, it's been done before. It depends on how much they throw the ball. Probably, which I think they will a lot. Any tight ends? Brandon Frazier, Preston Howard. I'm not feeling it either. All right, so OBKWE, we'll end it on this. This is a good one for you. I'll sit back and listen. What are the chances Bruce Pearl gets or takes both of the international bigs that have been discussed recently? He couldn't remember their names. He said the Serbian and the Frenchman. Right. If both want to come to Auburn and are cleared, does Auburn take both?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm not sure about. They're going to land Filip Jovic from Serbia, forward 6'8". That's pretty much going to happen. The other guy from France is a true center, and his name, I guess, is spelled like dessert. I'm sure that's not how you say it, but Bryce is his first name. He's a true like 6'11" center. I think that there's still some conversation about do they take him too? I think Jovic is a good 4 option to back up Keyshawn Hall, and he's athletic enough to potentially play the 3 like in just a couple of minutes at a time if you absolutely needed it. He he's got enough athletic ability to maybe play the 5. I wouldn't necessarily want Filip Jovic to bang against like a true center for another team, but he's more of a 4. But Bryce, the kid from France, is the interesting one. I mean, I think there's a possibility that they take him too, because you're looking at Emeka Oporum as a bright future, but not just 1 year of JUCO. Like he's just brand new to basketball, so just super raw. And you do not know exactly what his development's going to look like this summer and where he's going to be next year. And getting somebody like the kid from France as your backup 5, like so he backs up Keyshawn Murphy and he's more of a true 5. I think it'd be really enticing because he's shown the ability. He's played in some games, EuroLeague, FIBA stuff. So I think there's a possibility that they could take him in addition to Jovic, and then we'll just see. Or do they go in another wing? Do they go like a true wing to compete with Elijah Freeman? We'll see. And then of course Tahad. If Tahad stays, that'll ignite a point guard situation of going after a point guard. Whether that potentially could be international too. I've heard some names. I'm not going to talk about them yet, just because until Tahad says he's not coming back, probably no point. But that could be an international thing too. So the two big guys, yes, they potentially could land them both. The Serbia guy, I would almost like that's going to happen, barring the NCAA out of nowhere saying he's not eligible. It's really a matter of if they take the other guy.
Here's a question for me, real quick. Pettiford, I mean, is he going to go? Is he going to stay? Is he going to come back? What is your read on that right now?
Oh man, if I had to bet on it, I would bet he returns, just because if you judge the mock drafts, if you read a number of different mock drafts, and you just sort of see he's kind of all over the place between, like, let's say 25 to 27 to 40. And it just depends on the mock draft. And so I don't know if there's enough consensus that he's a first rounder for a team to guarantee him a first round. And it's not just a team. It's a team that, like, he's certainly not a top 20 pick. So it's really like, is there a team between 22 and 30 that wants a point guard that would be willing to take a chance on a 19-year-old that's a little undersized at the moment? That's, now you're starting to, like, you're just adding filters to trying to find the team that might guarantee him a spot. And I just don't know that there's that many chances or teams that would. So based on that, like, I just think the probability of one of the teams in that space guaranteeing him, if you're there, we're taking you no matter what, which is what they want. Because then obviously if somebody pops up and surprises and takes him before it, that's great too. I just don't know that he's going to get that. I don't know. That's my read on it. He could. All it takes is one. All it takes is one team to just love him and get enamored with him and say, we got you. But the probability would say that doesn't happen right now. I've been trying to dig a little bit on the NBA side. Ask somebody I know, I haven't heard back yet, on kind of maybe, is there any feedback from some teams? What's sort of the feeling on it? I think his size is just working against him right now. And look, he hasn't run a team all year. He was the backup point guard last year. That's a lot to take a backup point guard in the first round, and you haven't even watched him run a team for a season. That's not even a knock on Tahad. It's just a lot to invest. So I'd lean that it ends up working out where he comes back, but we'll know more in 6 days. 28th is when these guys have to decide by, and all my understanding is they're going to take all that time, which pretty much, why not? Unless Auburn's pressuring you like, hey, we really need an answer because we got to figure out, but if that's not happening, you're Tahad, you're going to take every possible day to give every team a chance to make a guarantee for you,
Yeah.
So that's kind of my read on the situation. And we'll see, man. If he goes, I don't know. Well, I don't know. I mean, there's probably some transfer guys that they'll try to go after, but I also think international could be an option. And I'll say they really like Caden Magwood. They really do. They think Caden Magwood's really talented. And I don't think, if he was the starting point guard, would that be ideal? No. But I don't think that they would shy away if that's sort of like, if they looked at it and went, listen, let's go get an international 20-year-old point guard that's played in tough leagues, that's played some FIBA ball. He's 20. He's got to adjust, but like, there's some maturity, little height, little size, and let's let him come in and compete. But if Magwood is the guy, we think Magwood's uber talented, I think that could happen, because you've got Keyshawn Murphy, who's played a bunch of ball. Keyshawn Hall's played a bunch of basketball. Kevin Overton's played a bunch of basketball. There's some pieces there that are mature pieces there. But anyway, I just think they love Magwood. So, like, I'm not saying they want to put everything on him, but I think they think pretty highly of what he's capable of.
All right. Well, good deal. Justin, we'll end it there. I enjoyed it. I think we had a lot of good questions.
Oh, he froze. By the way, while he's frozen, it's 3-1 Texas A&M, top of the 8th. A&M's got 2 men on with 2 out. So Auburn needs to get out of this 8th, and they'll have 2 more chances to try to tie this thing up, 3-1 in the 8th inning.
Good deal. Sorry, my internet keeps freezing.
No, you're good.
But like I said, we'll try to get on it Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's the goal right now at lunchtime. Just talking about whatever you want us to talk about, and we'll roll with that for about an hour at lunchtime for those days. And hope you join us. Thanks for coming this time. It's always good for you to like and subscribe our YouTube channel, but we want you on the corner. Come check out the corner. Come be a part of the community at Auburn Live. I think there's a $1 deal going on, maybe for an annual subscription that eventually rolls into the annual. So come get on that. If you're not, join the community. We got everything here amplified ×2 ×10 over there. So appreciate y'all joining us. We'll catch you next time. See ya.